how long do you need to test strategy before you get comfortable with it? And what do investors expect? I'm sure like an investor would be like, oh, it's cool that you guys just tested that for a week. Like what do you guys kind of look at like timeframes?
Yeah, it's uh, well, there are two levels we can talk about here. One is, of course, if you talk about the new program. So if you put something together like we did many years ago, like on the equity side, sort of a program where you would invest in the leaders in the ESG space. So we were consuming a lot of data from well, equity data, fundamental data, price data, a lot of ESG data that you put that in the algorithm, and it spits out, a portfolio of sort of the ESG stars and so on. So then obviously you need to track that for quite some time before people might be willing to invest in it. If it's sort of like a new program, ideally you would have somebody to see it pretty quickly, so you get the track record, and then typically, of course, you would probably have to have 6, 12, 24 months of track record before anyone believes in it. So that's one thing. Of course, that's maybe the most difficult thing, trying to actually raise money for something that is new. Even if the idea is great, it has to have a decent or long enough track record, at least on paper, but more importantly, with real money. That's at least what we tend to hear from investors. Then, of course, if you look at the traditional programs that you now run on the crypto side or on the traditional side, or on the equity side matters well. I mean, whether we work on a new submodel or a new idea, a new factor, then it does. Because that's basically what we do on a daily basis. We try to find new things to improve the overall performance and improve the overall programs. And so typically, it can be quite, due to the platform we have, depending on the idea, depending on how things work out, we can be quite quick from implementation or from idea to implementation. That typically doesn't take very long. Then we sit down regularly, of course, and meetings and discuss and evaluate these things. We have sort of the checklists on the new submodel things that it has to pass the criteria. And if we're happy with that, we're happy with the logic, we're happy with the work we discuss, we do all the foreising. Of course, not a lot is needed since everything, again, is run on the same platform. So it is quite bug-free and quite stable, typically from day one. So typically, if it passes all those first criteria, then we put it sort of in the watch list. Well, like I mentioned, we probably have 20, 30 models that are sort of in this watch list paper trading phase. And then we track those models for quite some time. Of course, we try to backtest them on as much data as we have. We of course have a lot of ways of doing cross-validation, getting rid of any potential overfitting problems, all the traditional pitfalls that you have in your backtesting. Of course, using as few parameters as possible. And of course, it depends a little bit. If it's a completely new approach, new machine learning approach, or something that we methodology that we're testing, then typically we are a bit more, conservative. Then we paper trade that model for a longer period of time before we consider, adding it to the line portfolio, so to speak. And this typically takes at least 6 months